Hey guys and girls, Steve again here, down-to-earth-prepper.com. I just did our first video, which was just an introduction to myself and to our site. This one I want to talk about the three most commonly known filtration systems. That would be ceramic, hollow fiber, and carbon-based coconut charcoal. What gives me any authority to talk about water or water processing, water treatment? Well, I was in business for 35 years. I owned a construction company and a trucking company. And that's what we did. We built municipal water systems, sewage treatment plants, water treatment plants, all manner of other water-related devices and systems, and we built a bunch of other stuff too. But that was our main focus for a long time. Up until about 2006. That was the last year that we took some contracts, and that was the year that I got hurt. Nonetheless, I want to point out some things today, so bear with me. I'm just going to talk to you in straight facts and give you the straight skinny, because that's what we offer. Now, all of the systems are filtration systems. Ceramic and hollow fiber are not purification systems. That's a complete misnomer. It's not a fact. The fact is that they are actually filtration systems. So let me explain that. What they really do is they filter down to a smaller porosity, to a smaller opening size, and that allows them to capture some of the bacteria and some of the pathogens. They don't get all of them, but they get some of them. Some of the systems don't get any of the pathogens. So these are things you need to be aware of, because in reality, no matter what, you really should be boiling your water or treating it anyway when you get right down to it. But that's just one issue that I want to bring up. So given that, it opens up a whole other set of questions and facts that actually happen. And that is that by virtue of these small apertures, these small openings that the water has to pass through, it creates a problem. And the problem is that they're more susceptible to plugging up and working slowly, because when they're working slowly, that means they're in the process of plugging up. And it's just natural stuff that's in the water. Most of you guys out there are filtering right now out of your tap water or your well, which is really a pristine source of water, actually. And even in that water, you know, there's dead amoeba bodies and there's other critters floating around in there. That would be a nice way to say it. There's paramecium bodies floating around in your water, guys. But nonetheless, these things are also issues even in our pristine water. The reason I know this is I've talked to numerous different people that have tested all of these devices, and they've given me feedback anywhere from slow operation to total fail, depending on the sources of water that they use. So that's where I want to go now. I want to kind of lead you into a different perception that you probably haven't quite totally wrapped your head around yet. Okay, let's just say that tomorrow there's an emergency, there's a catastrophe, there's a CME or an EMP. All of a sudden there's no electricity. Well, guess what? Shortly thereafter, there's not going to be no water coming out of the tap, and you're not going to be able to get water out of that well unless it's a really shallow well and you've already thought it out and got all your mechanisms to do that. If it has any depth at all, you're going to need an electric pump. That's just the reality of it. Okay, so we're all going to be forced to go procure some other source of water. And that other source of water would be a pond or lake, a creek, an irrigation ditch, or something that's going to be far less pristine than what you've been using. So it's going to have more turbidity, it's going to have more particulate, it's probably going to have some kind of algae, some degree of algae in all of those different water sources. It's going to have other floaters floating around in there. All of these things are going to be very disadvantageous to the ceramic and the hollow fiber systems. It's going to cause those systems all manner of problems. They're not going to work like they're working right now when you're using your tap water and your well water. They're not going to function properly, guys. That's just a fact. So here's what I want you to wrap your head around. In all of the municipal systems, in any place where we're treating water, they do that by a series of of devices, by a series of systems. There's not any particular one thing that's cast in stone all across the United States. The only thing that's really a common denominator is they all use chemicals at the end, and that's about it. I mean, I know in the 90th percentile they use chemicals to actually purify or disinfect the water. That's the term that's actually used, is disinfectant. But nonetheless, it's really not any different for our purposes. They're doing it on a much grander scale. They've got all these other devices that they use, reverse osmosis and UV light and other devices as well. There's way more technical advanced stuff. It's all dependent on large quantity of electricity. It doesn't even apply to us at all, because we're talking about much smaller scale production, and we're talking about emergency situations. So it's a totally different animal. What is the same is that we can think in terms of using these different mechanisms to come up with the same polished water that they do. The one thing that is common in all of those plants is that they almost all use, and here again it's going to be in the very high 90th percentile, they almost all use carbon-based, and that is almost always coconut charcoal, to polish the water. Why do they do that? Because it removes smells, bad smells and bad taste that the ceramic and the hollow fiber are not very effective at all. They're not even in the ballpark with coconut charcoal for that issue. That's why they use them in municipal plants. It works. It's as simple as that. So realize that we're all going to be forced to go get a different source of water. That water is not going to be anywhere near the pristine state of water that what you've been using. It's going to cause problems in your systems. It's just a fact, guys. Now, I've got a Sawyer 0.1 coming that I'm going to do some testing with. I've talked to those folks, and the fellow I spoke to couldn't really give me some answers on my questions. He kind of danced around it and said, well, you can back flush it and yada yada. And I said, well, what about the fact that we may not have pristine water going forward? And he couldn't really give me an answer, because there really is no answer. The answer is, these things are real. These are going to be problems. They're going to cause you problems. You can think it out a little bit, and I'm going to make a suggestion, okay, as a pre-filtering mechanism. These kits that we sell, they come with a very large filter. We sell the filters separately, 50 cents a piece, 10 for $5 in a packet. The filter kit itself comes with 2 of them in it. So you could buy some of these filters. You could pre-filter the junky water with the paper filter, then go to your coconut charcoal to polish the water, then put it in your system, and it's going to save your system a whole lot of grief. You're going to be a way happy guy when you really need this water and you've got it, as opposed to this thing plugging up and not really working quite right, and you're hassling with it and you're stressing out because you want some water. The beauty of the charcoal is water passes through it very freely. It's not very restrictive at all, not even close to the other ones, and it polishes the water. It removes the bad smells and bad taste. So if you've got a well that has a sulfur taste to it, this will fix it. This will clean it right up. Or any other natural sources of smells, any other compounds out there that cause these things to happen. It's pretty common. Nonetheless, I want to leave that with you. Right now we've got our kits on sale at a special introductory price for $19.95. We're doing that to get some exposure, to get you guys using it, get you guys talking about it. We're not going to be at that price for any length of time, so go over and check it out. Everything I'm telling you is an absolute fact. I will get back to you on the follow-up testing. I'll do another video shortly where I'm going to charge some water and show how it's done. It's very simple. You pour some water over it, and you know, a couple of times, and boom, it's charged. It'll also show all the little parts and pieces. This stuff is so simple, guys, it's ridiculous. I mean, it works. That's why they use it in the municipal plants, because it works. It does what it's supposed to do. It's simple stuff. Our kits are incredibly basic and simple. Use this as a pre-filter to enhance your own systems that you've already got. That's the key, guys. Hey, I'm out of here. Go do something good. We'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.